Jake, this Oregon team that you're going to get to see as a part of the broadcast on Saturday has a lot of things that are going to excite me. I'm just excited to see a depth chart, frankly. Like I could do 2 weeks of content on the show if Dan Lanning walked up to me and said, Spencer, here's a depth chart for our first game of the year. I could get 2 weeks of content. Easy. So once it's actually on the field, I can't wait. Absolutely, positively cannot wait. But you're going into this game. Might not be the last time you have Oregon this year. We'll see how the schedule just kind of shakes out and whatnot. But what excites you most about watching this Oregon team, or who excites you the most?
I'm glad you did that, because I am a little bit biased, and this is my chance to brag about.
Oh boy, here we go.
You see this right? Actually,
look at that! Look at the hardware. Look at the hardware. Headphones got to go off. Got to be incredibly delicate. This is not a prop, folks. If you're watching on YouTube, this is
heavier than you would think. Okay.
Is it heavier? Is it heavier? That look at that.
Heavy. That's why I'm sweating right here.
Look at that.
This is the John Mackey Award, okay? And I sit on their board because I watch a ton of college football, as I'm sure a ton of your viewers do. And what excites me, better yet, who excites me? Kenyon Sadiq. This guy, number 11 on Bruce Feldman's freak list. Dan Lanning, he told us, he said 100% he's going to be a focal point of our offense. I watched him in the Big Ten championship last year, hurdling guys, standing straight up. And I was like, I kind of feel a little dirty saying him and I play the same position, because there's not much we share in common. I mean, he's 250 with an 8-pack, squats and benches 400 plus pounds. I mean, he's a freak of nature. And I think what I'm looking forward to seeing is, Terrance Ferguson was kind of your true tight end last year. There was just so many weapons that felt like Will Stein, we have to get Sadiq the ball. So occasionally you almost do the little push pass handoffs or screens, or let's get it into the flat and let him run. I can't wait to see him play that true number 1 tight end position and run routes and show us how he can separate. I do just think he's a freak amongst freaks, and what a valuable piece to have. I just think a good tight end is your quarterback's best friend. So for Dante, as he's trying to settle into this season, he's going to be looking number 18's way early and often.
Yeah, and I think the number of ways we've seen him get the ball in the past have in some ways been, this is the only way we can get him the ball. And it's not that those ways are going to suddenly disappear. You're still going to see him motion out, catch a tunnel screen, which, normal tight end behavior, or go under center and use him as a fly sweep, decoy or otherwise. And now you'll see him jump into those Terrance Ferguson spots where, a key third or fourth down, Dante might be looking his way. You might see some jump balls into the end zone. He's got a crazy, crazy good vertical. Like I think he is easily a top 3 player for me on this Oregon team. I'm most excited to watch. The two Moores, Dante and DeCorian, certainly fall into that camp for me as well. But, on this defensive line, Jake, I want to go back to our trench conversation a little bit. We all know about Mateo and how good he is, the Big Ten's leading returning sack man from a season ago when he had 10.5. I'm excited to see who pops in the rest of that front. And you mentioned Sadiq making Bruce Feldman's freak list at number 11 this year. Amari Washington was 7 slots higher. He was the 3rd defensive tackle last year. Now, I'm the self-appointed chair of the Amari Washington fan club, and I have been since about January on this podcast, maybe even before that. I have to go back and get the exact date. But I'm excited to see, against this Montana State team that you mentioned has got size up front, maybe they're at Montana State because they don't quite have the athleticism that some of the other programs are going to have in the trenches, but I'm excited to see how this Oregon defensive line can wreak havoc, both in the run and pass game for the Bobcats this weekend.
I genuinely think opposing coordinators, they're going to wake up with cold sweats, in the middle of the night when they watch this film. And you guys had a great defensive line last year. It's going to be, hard to replicate. Derek Harmon is a freaking stud and was a stud. But when you talk about Amari Washington, he's one of those, we don't have film this year, right? We don't know who he's going to be this year. So what we have is press conferences and articles. In his name, the coaches cannot stop bringing him up. His teammates and the defensive room cannot stop. His name just continually pops up. And I just think, I played in Denver with Derek Wolfe and Von Miller. And, Von Miller is a Super Bowl MVP, and he's a guy that's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. But having a great defensive tackle next to him really unlocked both of their games. So now you got Washington lining up to next to Uyunglele. Good luck. Good luck. Are you going to have to turn the full slide their way, have 3 or 4 linemen blocking 2? Now you got Tuioti on the backside. I believe even though Uyunglele is the leading sack returner in the Big Ten, Tuioti led your team, or has the most returning pressures. Derek Harmon, I think, led the team in pressures last year. Tuioti has the most returning pressures. So across the board, there is just talent. And a guy like Bear Alexander, I think this is credit to the culture Dan Lanning has built. A guy that's kind of just, a highly touted recruit, hasn't been able to find his footing, and then gets here to Oregon and they say, hey, the past is the past. We just want what's best for Bear. And I just think, if he can realize his full potential, what does that say about Lanning as a coach? And what does that say about Oregon's culture up front? Because if they can unlock his potential, now you're talking about serious depth across the board for this defensive line.
Yeah, and the guys they have behind him, like Aiden Breland or Terrance Green. Terrance Green might be the biggest guy on the team, along with Isaiah World, just physical human being size. But interesting you bring up Bear Alexander and that kind of trajectory. He was, I think, a borderline 5-star coming out of high school, goes to Georgia. He was a part of the national championship team.
He was a 5-star at one point, maybe.
Yeah, I think he was fluctuating in that. Anyway, super highly talented guy. He was on that 22 national championship team. I think he played in the game. He left. He goes to USC. He looked good. And then the next season, it was weird. I'm not entirely certain, frankly, what happened. He left the team after just a few games. He bounced around a lot of high schools. This is a guy who I think, someone that's not an Oregon fan or an anti-Oregon fan out there would say, oh, man, he's got all this sort of stuff. I look at what Dan Lanning and Tosh Lupoy did and Tony Tuioti, the defensive line coach, with Jordan Birch, who went to South Carolina, 5-star, big-time recruit, played for 2 seasons, underwhelmed, did not reach his full potential. Came to Oregon. I got a text from someone not long ago saying that Jordan Birch is tearing it up at fall camp for the Arizona Cardinals after being a 3rd-round pick. He had a standout preseason and looks like he could be a serious contributor as a rookie this year. If they do that with Bear Alexander and pair him with Amari Washington, man, you might not have that much of a drop-off from last year's defensive line, which is crazy to say because last year was, I think, the best Oregon's had in 10 years.
That's why I like Dan Lanning, though, because Bo Nix, he was not a 1st-round pick. He was not. I mean, he was a good.
He was going to be a 5th-round flyer. If he'd gone to the draft after his last season at Auburn, he was like a 4th or 5th-round flyer.
Yes, his completion percentage, I think it went up by 40% or something. I mean, it was ridiculous. And then I'd just say Malik Benson is another guy. Could you unlock his potential? Yeah. That's a speedy guy that, he was a highly touted recruit. What could this system and opportunity mean for him? It's just such a credit to Coach Lanning. He's able to, that's so much of being a head coach. At a certain point, you're not about the X's and O's. I know he's still a defensive guy, but so much of being a head coach is being able to inspire your locker room and inspire your staff and extract that full talent. You just pointed out great history. What does that mean for Dante Moore, Malik Benson, and Bear Alexander, among a ton of other names?
Yeah. Stoked for game 1. I mentioned my prediction yesterday on the show. I will not ask you to make one. I know that would be sacrilegious. I know better than that. I've got Oregon winning 38-6. I want to see the defense really dominate on Saturday, and hopefully that is what Jake Butt will be watching. You hear him on the Big Ten Network broadcast, 1 p.m. Pacific time, kickoff, Oregon, Montana State. Jake, my man, thanks so much for stopping by. I loved hearing from you again.
Great to see you, man. Talk to you soon.
Appreciate everyone listening. I will see you next time. Until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Enjoy the football. I'll have a reaction show for you. And until then, go Ducks.